Hey Soul Tribe, it's Kate and Kerry.
We are so excited to have you hear this new episode. Please review and subscribe at the end. It's free and it helps us keep spreading our message to you, our awesome listener. Thanks so much and enjoy the episode. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Soulsessed Twins. I'm Kerry, your host in California.
What's up, guys? I am Kate, your host in New York.
And we are coming to you with another episode. And Kate and I decided that doing an episode on gossip would be really informative and helpful because we just couldn't believe. I mean, of course, we all know that it's bad for you, but we couldn't believe the actual effects it has in your life and on you as a person. And if it's happening around you, how, detrimental it can be.
Yeah, Kerry actually brought this up as a potential topic. And the first time that she did, what do you think about doing gossip? And I was like, ugh, even the word has so much heaviness to it, so much negativity to it. It was like such a sick feeling. But meanwhile, we all do it, including me.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way around it. And I just thought, no, we really should be doing this, even though how much it makes you feel like, ugh. It's so interesting. I think what came out of it is what Carrie's talking about, just really what the impact of gossip has on our lives, whether we're the ones gossiping or being gossiped about or even hearing gossip.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, do you let's just want to discuss a couple of definitions that we found about gossip just to outline it and lay it out there. Mm-hmm. Do you have that? Well, I have really great quotes actually, just to, if you're being gossiped about, that people are probably unhappy in their own lives if they're too busy discussing yours. Love that. Mm-hmm. Also, if you don't see it with your own eyes or hear it with your own ears, don't invent it with your small mind and share it with your big mouth. Isn't that huge? Whoa, it's so true, right? And, just getting to the benefits of doing it less is when you intentionally disengage from judgment and gossip, you will find more opportunities, openness, and connection in your life. You'll also start judging yourself way less. Is that awesome?
Yeah. Yeah, I think just to clarify, we're not talking about someone that you're talking privately with a trusted source, a family member, a friend, about someone to get that off your chest. Or many times it's to sort something out. For me, it was anytime that, say, I'm discussing someone privately with another trusted source, it really is to gain insight, to gain someone else's perspective, to recover from it, to find a solution to whatever it is that I'm struggling with another person. We're not talking about that. We're really talking about the stuff, the juicy shit you can't wait to tell, you're salivating with, of oh my God, I can't wait, listen to this, that's the gossip that we're talking about. Or the gossip of trying to pull someone down, right? Oh God, did you hear? Right?
Yeah, malicious intent, slander, just shittiness, right? Which really does come down to feeling really insecure. The person is, really insecure and not happy in their own life. And, it is true. When somebody isn't unhappy in their own they can really sit and find fault with yours rather than fixing what they got going on.
I remember doing this like so much, especially before recovery. Like I, it was really just when it's just how I lived. I think when you get sober and start living a more honest life, one with positive principles and values that you are now adhering to, you do then realize, wow, how much negative influence that you're bringing upon yourself too, and like the environment that you're around is happening. I really didn't know. I didn't see that way that I was living and what I was bringing to it because I didn't know there was any other way. I was kind of, in a circle, in a crew, in an environment where that's what you did. Like that's just the way it was. That's how you conversated with people. And until I really got sober and started to live differently, I had no idea that that was even possible. Like I was really that negative, like in my own life and what I was sharing to other people, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, too, it is a way to connect. It's like the simplest way to try to fit in, try to connect. Say you're at a party or just some gathering, or even just, you know, um, at a soccer game, and you're just like feeling a little uncomfortable or insecure. And it's just it's scientifically proven and found to be the easiest way to sort of just conversate and connect with people. And what you said earlier, which is so amazing, and I, picked up the book, which is where I had mentioned the topic to do with Kate, and that was a few weeks ago, and then I woke up the other morning and opened up Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose, and I opened to the page about gossip, and I thought, okay, I guess we're meant to do this, right? And what you said earlier, this is so amazing. He says, for example, you're about to tell someone the news of what happened. Guess what? You don't know yet? Let me tell you. This is what I'm reading right now.
Yeah.
If you are alert enough, present enough, you may be able to detect a momentary sense of satisfaction within yourself just before imparting the news, even if it is bad news. It is due to the fact that for a brief moment, there is in the eyes of the ego an imbalance in your favor between you and the other person. For that brief moment, you know more than the other. The satisfaction that you feel is of the ego, and it is derived from feeling a stronger sense of self relative to the other person. Even if he or she is the president or the pope, you feel superior in that moment because you know more. Many people are addicted to gossiping partly for this reason.
I think, even just right off the bat, starting to do research and starting to just write of my own experience with it, so much of gossip has to do with feeling superior. And obviously, just like it's obviously a false sense of superiority.
Yeah.
Of course, but like we're all guilty to it. Like it's even happening this past weekend, and just the whole, connection part of it. It still happens with me. It's like, you're on the sidelines, or at a lacrosse game, or you're at a Halloween party, or you're, wherever you are, and you are looking for that semblance of connection. And how do you do that? You talk about it somebody, but I will say the now, and then I will always like find myself like, oh, wanting that connection because I am sober, and because I'm not really around that kind of environment anymore by choice, but also because when you do get sober, that does go away. Like, there are some things that you have that come along with the sober life, which is like, I wouldn't trade it for the world, but what you are trading are environments where there's probably going to be gossip more, like you're, prone to gossip, people that are gossiping, all of that kind of stuff. Is that I'm not really around that anymore. So that sometimes when I feel like, oh, I want connection, I'll say like, so what's going on? Any juicy, anything going on? And then right when I say it, it's like, first of all, I don't even give a shit. And secondly, like that's not it, it never fulfills me. That's not what I'm looking for. I think it's what I'm looking for, but it's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I feel like once you're in the sobriety world or just the wellness world, you're working on yourself. So like
Mhm.
that quote said earlier, you're judging yourself less. So you're less interested in others or trying to tear them down or getting juicy bits. And the I'm certainly not in that world as much either. And it's not who I am, right? And that's why it feels bad. Like the second you say, "What's the juicy bits?" and then you feel bad, it's like, I'm not,
Mhm.
I'm not this person anymore, like, and you realize how toxic it is. And, it's just, I'd always walk away feeling like you do. I mean, it's again scientifically proven that you feel a bit of superiority, but it's so short lived. And then you walk away like, and then you're paranoid too. I'd always be like, what did they find out? Or the rumor started going around and the person did find out that it was being said, and you're the one who started it. It's like, oh my God, right? And it's just you're in this spiral and this, toxic cycle of just like negativity and paranoia and defensiveness and just like, oh God, I don't want to be caught up in that anymore. And that's really where it started to stop. And also feeling the effects of being gossiped about, how
Oh,
bad it felt, like just how alone and so much shame and so much humiliation that I'm just like, I don't want to ever do that to somebody. It's so lame. It's so harmful.
it's so harmful. Well, that's what I was going to say too. I think gossip is literally one of the main reasons why people don't go out and live their dreams. Like you and I had this completely when our life turned and flipped upside down. And here we are now reunited and starting a podcast together and having to go on, like the form of advertising is social media, and having to go on social media now announce like, this new next chapter of my life. And a lot of it too is that, we're creatures of habit. We don't like change. So it's like, okay, here we are now. We are podcasters. It's all about wellness, personal development, any type of personal growth, anything you're struggling with, let's get through it. Kerry and I are here for you, Soulsessed Twins, and the fear of what other people are going to think of us, of what other people are going to say about us was absolutely there. And I'll tell you the way that for me, but I was doing it anyway. I've never felt this type of assurance, this type of certainty that this was my calling. It didn't happen sooner because I didn't have Kerry. There's no question in my mind. This is a totally like a tag team effort, and it made complete sense. But for me, how I overcame the fear of gossip, because they're out there. There's
Yeah.
no doubt that they're out there. That how I overcame that fear is that I blocked people on my social media that I didn't think were going to be supportive, that I did think are more prone to gossip and running to the Friday night event and saying, oh my God, guess what, in a negative way. And so for me, that's what I looked to myself. I looked to myself and said, Kate, what do you need to make this happen for yourself? What's going to make you feel safe, really? because that's what happens with gossip. You feel completely vulnerable and unsafe. Like it's an anxious place to be living. And so I blocked everybody that I thought would not be supportive. And ultimately, I unblocked. Now no one's blocked. I have everybody, anyone can see us. And
Mm-hmm.
those are the ways that we can, I guess, live with gossip because it's not going away. It won't
Yeah.
ever go away.
But I also think too, like once you're getting healthier and weller, you're just like, you know what gossip is. I mean, it just has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with me. It's all like the unwellness in the person doing it. And it's just like, great, that, go and do that. Plus, though, I find, and we were able to do this and do it together, and I was able to start doing it, before we got reunited because it was my purpose and it had to do with others. It was to help other people. So gossip was like helping others or giving a shit what people think. I was like, who fucking cares? I
Mm-hmm.
want to try to help somebody, and that's it. That's what my motive is. That's my intention. So go gossip away. I'm such a loser for trying to help somebody.
Right,
But the
right.
blocking is very good because I did it too, just to feel, more on my feet. And then you unblock because you're just a little more confident. You're like, okay, I'm putting myself out there and I'm getting used to it. And, you're getting more stable and it's just, fuck it.
Yeah. And two, I think the tool, another tool that's really helpful to use is that, helping yourself through gossip is starting to get my validation. Sorry about that. Starting to get my validation and my approval and love from myself. But then also, I had to build this relationship with my God, or something that was bigger than me. That is where my validation and my approval had to come from. And the amazing slogan that came, or phrase that came from this, was, what other people think of me is none of my business. And that has to be like such a massive mantra when you are taking the leap of courage to go out and do something that people aren't necessarily know you to be, right? You're changing your whole persona. People don't like change. Like, what is that? What is she doing? All of that. It's like, what other people think of me is none of my business. And the power that you get by saying that and believing that and living that way takes the power away from those quote unquote people, those gossipers. The power isn't there anymore in them.
Yeah, exactly. Having a more solid relationship with something way greater than you and all of that is exactly the way out. It's like, you know what? You trust in, you know, that relationship, and that's really all that matters. I also wanted to say too, I don't gossip as much because I don't want to be gossiped about.
Mm-hmm.
It really is like I don't partake, even it only for my own sanity in my own head. If I'm doing it less, I don't think about it being done about me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, that's really key. And plus, because I just don't like putting people down or, being in that sort of, that's not my world anymore. And I, of course, like Kate said, I will go in there, dip a toe in here and there, but it's not my whole world. Um,
Totally.
it really damages trust with others because the second you leave, you do think you're being talked about. I mean,
Oh.
it's like if you're doing it, that's who you're around and that's what you're all doing. So don't
Mm-hmm.
think for a second, right? Like this was amazing. It said, don't sit at a table where they talk about others because when you get up, you're the next topic. Oof,
Yeah.
fucking
Where
hell.
what quote is where does who said that?
That's from just Googling, just having Instagram gossip quotes. and just like all this great stuff came on. And I do, that I really love then the positive one of like when you intentionally disengage from it, you have more openness, more connection, more opportunity. I mean, that whole energy sends you in an entire different experience in life, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, like divert your energy into just such a more productive, helpful, positive vibe that you're just like living well, not sick.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that. Like, again, what happens when you hear it and when you're around it? And then also, why do we do it? I know we've touched on it, like, yes, about, feeling that superiority, but then also, and also talking about that people that gossip have low self-esteem, right? And we look to divert attention from ourselves. So we talk about someone else or
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah, that's huge.
oh, I don't want to talk about anything real. I don't
Or
want,
myself, let's talk
yeah,
about Susie.
right. And
Right.
because, yeah, you don't want to be talking real. You don't want to be getting honest. You want to be hiding, really, but you still want to be out.
Mm-hmm.
And, a deep for me when I was in that before recovery, really. So it was such, I just remember what was I feeling? Like, what was I living? And it really was such a deep sense of misery. And it was masked
Mm-hmm.
by gossip and talking about all of this, but I was really miserable and unfulfilled. And so that was what I was filling my cup with. But meanwhile, it's just that, like you said, that whole lifeline, that whole lifestyle, that it's a vicious cycle of anxiety, depression, of course. And like that small, like Eckhart Tolle says, that small, second, the small minutes of feeling superior. But at the end of the day, when you go to sleep, you're still crying yourself to sleep. You still feel like shit.
Yeah, it's so short-lived. And I just think, something we touched on earlier, it's like it's all right? And I just don't think that as parents, as adults, that we really need to teach better ways of getting our kids getting along. I mean, the bullying that goes on now for the children and for our kids, social media invites, like, I don't think I would have made it, honest to God. I mean, remember
Right.
going to school on Monday mornings after a weekend?
Yeah.
Fucking, I mean, horrifying. And, just to hear all that social media, how much more that invites is just scary as anything to me. And to really, you know, encourage our kids to, because I just think it's what you think connects you. So to really start to, and I'm sure most people do this, but really encourage our kids to connect on real levels, right? And engage, including, adults and ourselves in healthier ways. Like if it's something that, if you're going to start to talk and it's about somebody else, stop yourself, right?
Yeah. Because think about that. Like, what I was saying before, like the main reasons I think people don't go after their dreams and they don't really show you who they really are is because of we're so afraid of what people will say about us and what people will think. And like, think about the power of that, and that people would rather pretend they're someone else. So they will hide their homosexuality. They will hide who they truly are. They will hide that instead of being a banker, which that's the cachet, industry, but they really would die to be an artist, right? Or something that doesn't have so much cachet. Well, what would they say? What would people say about me? I just remember that too, like just, going through my own life and being in advertising and then wanting to, I mean, for me, I think there was a lot more into this, but then I quit and I became a bartender. but the whole thing of like, what are people going to say? I wanted to do it for a while. And then, of course, like, I had obviously driving myself into the ground with a drinking problem. But my point is like, we don't go after, that was probably not the best example, but just going after like our real
Yeah.
dreams, our real hopes, because we're afraid of what other people think. And think about that. What came to me was that the closeted, our sexuality, not living who we really truly are and what we were created to be, because we're so afraid of what other people think of us.
Yeah. I mean, I do have it even, to this day with what we're doing, right? And, being a realtor and then changing over to, life coach or figuring it out and putting it out there. And then, was doing that. And then Kate and I got reunited. And then, things are just sort of unfolding and getting figured out as we're sort of going along. And I know people are like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, what is going on? But like we were saying earlier, I just stick true to, I know my path is being unfolded. I know it's a calling greater than myself. And, you know, I don't fully know. And who cares if nobody else does and what they're going to say about it? Yes, I think, but I don't think about it so much anymore, what other people are saying. I just don't care. I don't give it as much weight. It's happening, whether I'm going to think about it or not. Me obsessing about it and thinking about it doesn't change it and it doesn't stop it. I have no control over it whatsoever. So that's why, too, it's just like, it is what it is. People can talk shit, great. I have no idea what's going on either. So it's being figured out as we go. And I just know that it's purposeful and it's in good intentioned and judge away.
Right. And also, too, it's like the whole saying of like, what other people think of me is none of my business.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, then when we then go forward with courage and go find and go do what we truly want to do, your people come that are
Yeah.
meant to be with you. And the people that are not fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
It's, you can't think that you're going to be doing the same things, being with the same people, going to the same places, and totally change your life. How, like, it doesn't make sense, right? And I definitely, especially, in the beginning of any kind of positive change, you want things to still stay the same. And when we think that way, we completely shortchange ourselves, because there's so much more goodness and joy and fulfillment that comes with one positive decision, no matter what it is in our life. When we make one positive decision, positive commitment to some type of change, tenfold that you're not even thinking about comes to you.
Yeah. I mean, think of it like this, like throwing a pebble in water and the ripple effect from that one decision. It ripples out, right? That's exactly what it is. And it's just amazing because so many of us stay in the boat we're in that we want to get out of just because it's comfortable,
Mhm.
even if it's toxic, bad, we're not thriving at all. We want to get out, but we know it. It's what we know. So it's like, even if this is shit, I know what to expect. I know what's going to happen staying here.
Mhm.
And the leap of faith, the jumping off the cliff, towards something that would be something we want is just so scary because it's the unknown. It's the
Mhm.
unknown. And, the ego wants you to stay. It's actually self-preservation, right? The self-will wants you to stay where you are because it thinks it's protecting you because it knows what's happening. It knows what's to come. But
Mm.
the other is faith,
Mm.
right? So once you take a leap of faith, right, stay with fear, and what, the cell phone knows, or take a leap of faith and the unknown. And it's scary as hell, but it's invigorating. And it, has a ripple effect of so much good.
So much good. I mean, it's amazing what stacks each day. Just what goodness gets stacked upon your life is like, it's just so incredible. But that first leap, and yet it has a lot to do with this type of stuff. Massive has a lot, so much to do with gossip, so much of it. Because when you cut that out, a whole other world opens up. And um, I just, I'm like so grateful to actually do this topic because it really does show the corrosive thread that it does cause still in my life, for sure. Even though I'm not partaking in it, this is what I wanted to talk about. It's like, even when you hear it, it
Mm-hmm.
causes then you to focus on your own insecurities. This is from Deborah Burns, psychologyservices.com. And she talks about it brings your own negative inner dialogue out. It brings out your weaker traits like people pleasing, perfectionism, all or nothing thinking. And your confidence suffers because of what, Kerry, you just said. It's like consciously or subconsciously, it makes you think you're next.
Right.
So even if you're not partaking in it, but you're hearing it, like I swear this happened over the weekend on the lacrosse field. I saw two mom, well, I was next to, and it is, even if you don't hear it, if you see it, if you see whispering happening, the negative effect that it has on you is insane. It just immediately, I see these two moms, these two women whispering, talking, and having their own little moment. And I was so then the first thought is, oh, what can I get in on? Because I want the connection.
Mm-hmm.
And then right away, it's like that feeling of like, oh God, I'm next. I could be next. The
It could be
toxic,
me now.
it could be me now. The toxicity of it. And I just stayed where I was. But it's amazing that 100%, all of what I just said, the own insecurities, the negative inner dialogue, the thinking I'm going to be next, my lack of confidence came down slightly, all of it, the anxiety of it. I
Yes.
felt all of it. I felt all of it. And I
And
did.
like that, I mean, like that, just you can feel like the drop in energy. Like
Yeah.
you're just immediately like, hey, oh. And you're just like, your nervous system gets activated and you just feel paranoid. You're like, what's going on? Are they talking about me or who? And what would they say? Yeah, the whole thing starts going. And it's
It's
just like unbelievable.
it's such a downer. Like
It's
it's
such
such
a
a
downer.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
really, that's what I mean. Drop of energy. You're just like, oh, and you're just like down. It's such a downer. That's
Mhm.
why I try not to partake, but um, because I just can't. When you also too like awaken to the effect that has on you physiologically, like that feeling of down energy is like it's sending off horrible hormones in your body of cortisol, adrenaline, all this stuff that is so bad for you, that I just want to stay away from. It does nothing but cause depression, like you said, anxiety, all the stuff we don't, that kill us and ruin our life. So it's
Mhm.
just like, even if people are doing it, I just try not to, just because I know how bad it is for me. I know how bad it feels and someone's doing it about me. And I just try to rise above it.
What was I going to say? But there is, I have this to say, there is positive gossip that I totally partake in. And I do love seeing this when we were doing research.
Mhm.
There is such a thing as positive gossip when we
Sure.
positively talk about someone and when they're not there. When we positively talk about, even like a team that your son is on, or the coach that's coaching your child, or obviously, talking positively, like Kerry and I, because of you guys, our listeners, our soul squad, the ones that have been, I was going to say like brave enough, but really, I mean, have the courage to come to us and tell us like the positive impact that we've had on you guys, and that you would say we were talking about you and saying how influential you and Kerry have been in our lives, and that how much you've helped us and all of that. Like, so feel the difference of that gossip. I mean, when I hear that someone is gossiping positively about me, what a fucking major uplift. Do I get my validation? Of course, there's validation there, but do I get my ultimate, like, oh, that's everything to me? No, because I've built this relationship now with God, with this power, right? Something that's bigger than me. But man, does it feel good, right? Those like positive motivation.
Yeah.
There's motivation there.
Yeah. Um, Absolutely. I mean, it's like, wow, thanks so much, especially just beginning, right? Doing this and then hearing feedback. Like, I was really grateful to a friend. She said, a couple of people brought it up and was like, oh, did you hear Kerry's podcast? And she said, yeah, isn't it awesome? Isn't
Mhm.
it fucking great what they're doing, what she's doing? And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. It just feels so good. But true that we are doing this regardless, right? It's nice to hear that, but I really, really like this comment, just from like people that came before us that are very well on their way and saying, I appreciate the good, but if you're going to take the good, you got to take the bad. So I don't really look at either, right?
Mhm.
And it's like you can't just you have to just not really look at it and stay on your path, stay true to your purpose. And I
Yeah,
love like not get caught up in any of it. It's like, thank you, I really appreciate that more than saying we suck, but
that's what I mean. Like, you got to make sure that the weight of what people are saying doesn't weigh more than you. It
yeah.
doesn't weigh more than your true value. The weight of what you're doing is valuable. And it's nice to get the validation of people that we're helping that it is, of course.
But
But
intrinsically we know it's
and like you're saying, like we're doing it anyway,
right.
ultimately, like our people will find us if they're not positively talking or whatever, like it's coming, there's no doubt, and it's here. But yeah, I thought this from the stressexperts.com: positive gossip is a social currency that builds and fortifies relationships. So I thought that was so great, because also it provides opportunities to learn from the examples of other people. Talking positively about people can make others assume that you will also talk about them in the same way.
Right.
As a result, build trust and strengthen social bonds in groups.
Yes. I always, just because it's honest and it's authentic, but point out what great things people are doing, or how kind that was of somebody. And that is more of a feeling of what I'm not doing it so people do that about me. I just imagine like it's just an energy that I'm more in on, that I would imagine would be shared about me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. It's like either you're talking shit and then you're paranoid that people are talking shit about you, but that energy does get associated with you. So you
Mm-hmm.
are more likely to be put down by others when you're putting others down too. So when you're talking positively, that energy is what you're associated with. So people will talk good about you just because that's what you put out there. You get what you give, 1,000%.
And think about the girls or, the people in your life that gossip, right? When you see them, you don't feel the anxiety. Like I really am like, ooh, like it makes me go the other way. It makes me
Yeah.
withdraw a lot of times from conversation because I know what they're about. And it
Yeah.
is like it's such a telling piece of character
Yes.
in knowing someone that gossips and someone that doesn't. But when someone doesn't, massive respect from me
Yes.
goes to the person. Like I'm just like, oh, you're a queen. You're
Yeah.
awesome. Like, someone would come up and like they're tight-lipped, and they would have shit to say, and they don't. I am like, I immediately trust you. You are my people. Even if we don't become best friends, you're a rock star. You're a total queen.
Totally. And I like look up to you
Yeah.
when you do that. I'm like, wow. That is
Yeah.
just, and the energy is just like, I want to be around you. You're
Hmm.
who I want to be around.
Hmm.
And I do think it's a powerful example. Like, even if you're, around friends that are gossiping and you're just like, I want to do this less, and you just don't say anything and you're standing there, it's like, and they may be like, oh, even if say something or don't, it affected them.
Hmm.
So guess what? You just not saying anything and standing there, and or will have an effect on the group to do it less if you continually do that, or walk away, or say, I don't know about that, and walk away. It's cutting the chains and the
Yeah.
habit of it. And it is definitely reflecting a way more, it's breaking the toxicity.
100%. And I have no problem too being like, let's change the subject. Or just change the subject. You don't even have to be that blatant about it. You could just literally start talking about something else. Not someone else, but like positive, just change the subject. And yes, it's 1,000,000% true. Your message will be heard, which is why I'm not invited anywhere. Just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? If I'm not invited anywhere, or that I'm not invited anywhere, because that's really the majority of what's going on, I don't want to go and be around it anyway. So have fun.
Well, and two, rejection is God's protection.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It's like, when I feel like that and I feel left out or I'm not invited and you have FOMO and everything, another great little mantra to say is rejection is God's protection. You don't know enough about the event, about the thing that you're not invited to, that will hurt you in some way, shape, or form if you were invited, if you went. So tuck in, enjoy your night, go, take care of yourself, be with people that are readily available to you, and say that to yourself. Rejection is God's protection. I am being loved. I am loved. I am cared for. I'm being protected. Trust me, you'll have a great night.
Yeah, exactly. And just keep getting more used to that, mantra and that belief system. It will just grow and grow, and it'll affect you less and less. Of just like, yeah, I'm not invited. Thank God.
Yeah, and what's funny? And then it's like when you are invited, I'm like, I don't want to fucking go there.
Yeah, most of the time you just want the invite. You don't want to go. You have no interest. You're not going anyway, but you just wanted to be invited. And it's like, yeah, well, sometimes you won't be. And you know what? It gets less painful.
That's that.
So hopefully this was helpful. I just can't stress enough just how toxic it is, how it really hurts you in the end. And if you do want to change, just start looking at yourself. There are things there in your life that you need to work on. If you're continually talking about others, you're hurt. Hurt people. So it's okay. It's okay. We have been there 1,000%, but just start to turn it inward and get to work, because it feels like shit. And you know it does.
Mhm. Yeah, I think too, just the next, talking about this, it just really makes you think the next time you're about to engage in gossip, just ask yourself, do I really want to be classed with people who kill dreams and stop people from living freely? Right? Like we want to encourage us, you, me, everybody in the world to be and express who they truly are without the fear of judgment, without the fear of being spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, listen, it's a daily effort, it's a daily thought. It comes in droves every day at us. Just something to think about doing less of and ultimately not doing.
Yeah. And I mean, that's it. I mean, I just think people talk shit about others because they're not living their own dreams.
Mhm.
And you're pissed about it. You're upset about it. You feel bad about it. And it's just easier to talk shit about others and look at that and address it and start to go after it. So that's exactly what it is, actually. It's because you're not living your own. So you got to put someone else's down.
Mhm.
So go for it. You deserve it. You deserve it, right? Go.
At any time, you can start at any time. It is really true. It's that, you got to be braver than your fears. And the only way to do it is to do it. You do it anyway. You do it afraid. And like they're talking about you anyway. So it might as well be about something you dream to do.
I
Like,
know. You know what I thought too was like you're putting all this effort, or I was putting all this effort into being somebody that I thought I was supposed to be, right? Just be realtor, be this, do this. And people think you're take you for this way because that's how you are being. And then it's like, well, why not put energy into what I truly want to do and who I really want to represent, which is wellness and living your best life and healing and all this stuff. If you're going to put it toward one way, why not just put it toward this way? You know what I mean? It's so interesting. It's like, it's all right for you to put it toward here, but who you really are is like, I don't know. It's so weird. You'd think it would be the other way around.
I know. I mean, they're talking about you anyway.
I love that. That's what I realized. I'm like, I'm being talked shit about anyway, so who cares?
Like, you might as well be doing what you really truly want to be doing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And who you truly are. Yeah.
yeah.
Gay, an artist, musician, it's not going to pay the bills. Well, if you're doing what you love, money will come.
Well, and also too, Carrie, gosh, I wish, I don't want to say it at the tail end, but also divorce. Like
Mhm.
being so afraid to, it's a travesty. I mean, it's not, it's devastating, but to admit like this marriage is over, we're getting divorced. Like, do you know how long people stay in marriages? Why do you think?
Yeah,
Obviously, because you want to make sure you're trying to make it work as much as possible and give it everything you got. But the second part of that is because what will people say?
100%. The neighbors, the whole thing. I mean, it's like,
Your friends, the community, just all of it. And it's like you'd rather live miserable than
oh,
live right and live your true self because you're afraid of
of
what
what
the
what
what
people are going to say. It's just unbelievable. So,
what
I mean,
girls at the soccer field are gonna say. It's like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
And it's true to that if you're going through that. It's like, you know what? Your happiness and your light and your example to if you have children or anyone just around you, family, friends, whatever, of being brave enough to go for divorce if all else fails and it's just the only thing that's left on the table. Believe me, you're an example. You're an example.
mm,
It's a tough, who the fuck wants to get divorced and go through that?
yeah,
Right. And
yeah.
when it really is your only option and your last choice, because I just felt like I was rotting and just couldn't get out of a really negative vibe, it left me with no choice. And it was and is the greatest decision for all of us involved. Handling it maturely, thank God. And, it's very tough and going through what we have to go through. But it has been an incredible example to my son, showing him what a healthy relationship should look like and what it shouldn't. And it's just been very powerful. So, and not caring what other people think. And guess what now? What do the parents say around us? Wow, how you and your ex is so inspiring. It's unbelievable how well Billy is doing, how well your son's doing, and how you guys show up. It's really impressive. It's like, yeah, there are other examples to handle, and you both look great. I'm like, yeah, because we're both happier. We both all know this was the way to go, giving a shit less what other people are going to think. Because my happiness was on the line.
100%. It's on all of the lines, just I think the tools are really, really powerful. Where do they come from? My own experience. I really, truly use these every day. What other people think of me is none of my business. Rejection is God's protection. And what was the other one? Oh, what was the other? Let me think. Let me see here. Just getting a validation and approval from God, from our higher selves. Listen to the episode. I can't remember what the other one was.
Also, a really great website is verywellfamily.com. It actually also has, like, when your kids are being rumored or gossiped about, how to handle it. Or if you're being gossiped about in your family, how to stand up for yourself, how to handle that. Just all of these really amazing tips and help. It's an excellent website, verywellfamily.com. Put in how to deal with, that was one of the, just put in gossip and see what shows up. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love that website too. That was really helpful because a lot of it is about kids. So yes, it's really important to get guidance for our kids, but also for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed another episode of the Soulsessed Twins. We certainly did. Please hop on Instagram and DM us, follow us, like us, do all of that good stuff. Reach out to us and let us know any topics or questions that you may have. We love hearing from you.
Thanks so much. We love you guys, and see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Stay tuned, guys. We are thrilled to be here with each other, and feel so privileged to try and carry a message of hope and positive change to one other person out there. So please subscribe and review and share our podcast to reach that person. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Soulsessed Twins and get daily inspo and connect with us.
Let's build this community together.
100%. So come back next week and we'll see you then.
Get soul-sessed with us, Soul Tribe.
That's it. Bye, guys.